Alright guys, TacticalRab again, so I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The day we've all been waiting for is finally here. OpTic versus FaZe for the very first time this CDL season. OpTic might have a better chance in this series than their performance against Miami the other day suggested, given the fact that FaZe did look somewhat vulnerable yesterday in his series against the Carolina Royal Ravens. Surge also responding to the potential GA blacklist that we went into some detail on last night, but also Scump and aBeZy responding to Scrappy, going off on them over the last couple of days. Lots of roasts going down either the way here, lots to dive into. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Thanks as well to Underdog Fantasy for supporting today's content. If you guys want to get involved in daily fantasy across all sorts of sports and esports, this is the place to be. No doubt Dashy needs a big bounce back series tonight up against the Atlanta FaZe. This is what that is going to be looking like, but also what's great about this side is the rivals feature, because, you know, if you pick Dashy on the over and he gets smoked, and that's unlucky, but if you pick Dashy on the over and he gets smoked, but Pred also gets smoked if you went for the rivals, then you might actually be okay. So the way this works is either across teams or actually within the same team, pick who's going to get more kills over one map or over map 1, 2, and 3. Dashy versus Pred in this case, because Pred's expected to get more kills. Dashy has a 7 adjustment. Now this is against Miami the other day, so it's probably going to be different for tonight, but the idea was either is Dashy plus 7 going to have more, or is it going to be Pred that's going to have more, and that's the way this feature works. If you guys want to get involved, link in the description box below if you guys are in these localities. Underdog will match any deposit you make up to the value of $100. Play responsibly, of course, if you choose to. And let's get right on with the video, man, because FaZe versus Ravens was way more interesting than I thought it would be last night. Not gonna lie, after the first 3 series, I thought, okay, nice, we have a good storyline here, Surge, the whole Hook, snaking drama, so FaZe are gonna smoke Ravens, I'll just make the video now. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my god, am I gonna have to like re-record or something? Because if like Ravens actually reverse rep FaZe, that would be a storyline for the ages. Because even in fairness, game 1, it was pretty competitive, right? I mean, here we are in the Skid Row. I don't know how Gwyn got this kill. That was completely absurd. But FaZe did, you know, they looked somewhat vulnerable in this series. I did say yesterday I didn't expect a smoke show because, you know, FaZe were going to come in, they were going to test some map pool, they were going to be very confident they were going to win this series regardless. So I'm not saying complacency set in precisely, but, you know, they came into this, I'm sure, trying to expand their map pool to some degree. And once they won the game 1 and they won the game 2 as well, I thought, okay, this is chalked, you know, there's no way that Ravens are going to make a comeback at this point because, you know, brand new Ravens team with Fellow in there now. TJ seems to kind of be the full-time asset for the team now, which I do think is a good idea. But Clay decided to just completely take over from map 3 onwards. Like, this was incredibly impressive. I know there's been talk about Clay over the last few days, you know, how good is he nowadays compared to how good he was previously? Is he still going to be able to have the same impact? And look, GodRx is gone, Fellow comes in. And let's be honest, did Fellow drop better numbers than GodRx in the series? No. But did he free up Clayster to some degree? That's the question that we have. Because Clay has so much impact when he has like a 1 flat KD. Because he has so many engagements for an AR player. Like, I guess what he needs is his teammate AR just to, you know, hold their own and play maybe a bit faster. I think GodRx is probably too slow in his playstyle, whatever you want to say. And maybe it didn't free up Clay enough. Because Clay can be really impactful when he's like, when he lets himself off the leash, I suppose. So despite the fact that Fellow here was 2-8 and didn't have a great series, it did feel like Clay could do more what he wanted with Fellow on the team instead of GodRx. Now, is Fellow still, as far as I'm concerned, the long-term man that's going to be there on this team? I'm not so convinced personally. I would not be surprised at all if by, you know, give it a couple of months, there's a different AR player in that slot. But nonetheless, this does seem to have helped because they go into a crouching control. I also will say, crouching control is actually a good map mode combination, right? I know that the game, the map set and everything gets criticized, and I've been obviously part of that, and I think for very good reason, to be fair. There's many things that you know, should be changed or needed to be changed or were changed in the recent patch update that maybe shouldn't have been, but Control, we also trashed this game mode as well for not being the best, and it obviously hasn't played fantastically well for the last couple of years, but Karachi Control is actually a really good map mode combination, I think. It gives possibilities for attackers and for defenders. It's like a 50-50 map, both teams can win, and Clay went on a massive 5 spree here, ended up 19-7 as they won this map 2, or they won this round 2. They eventually closed out the map as well. So yeah, at this point Clay was 19-7. Now look, I'll be honest, he has not beaten these guys on FaZe in like forever. I'm pretty sure the last time that they beat like the Tiny Terrors, that Clay beat the Tiny Terrors, was in Cold War when he was on the Subliners. Like, that's how long ago it's been. But in this series, like, Clay did have their number for some time, and then they started off the map for Subbase, again, a map that FaZe probably don't play so much. They might not play this in a match that, you know, they weren't just trying to expand their map pool to some degree, but nonetheless, Ravens made them look very average here, FaZe. And, you know, Cell was 3-8, Clay was just absolutely crushing them, and so was TJ. Like, they all had a good performance here, the Ravens guys, and they, you know, beat FaZe something like 250 to 168, or, you know, something like that. Very rare that you put FaZe less than 200 points, but Ravens did it here quite emphatically, so it was definitely surprising. And as Scrappy says, you know, his World War II Teach back. The problem is that these teams can sometimes have is that, sure, they do well in the respawns as a brand new team, but their search and destroy not up to par. And then final map of the series, it was 1-1 on the Skid Row search and destroy. Then I think it was Drazah who clutched a 1v2 possibly that maybe shouldn't have happened. And then it was 2-1 to FaZe, and then they ran away with it, right? That was the momentum switch. And although they were never expected to win this series, it would have been a nice 10 points. You know, they'd have been losers anyway, but it would have been a nice 10 points for Ravens. But I guess they couldn't really have expected it. Tomorrow, I guess actually, no, today, that's the real series they need to try and win. And as Clay says, really sucks from this winnable games. He's actually critical of his own performance on the Skid Row hardpoint. Feels like they should have won that because I think aBeZy got a kill on Clay that he shouldn't have had. So, you know, Clay recognises that, but I thought it was, you know, good vibes really here from Clay because his expectations are clearly high. Clay's not coming in here saying, oh, good job, guys, we won 2 maps. He's like, look, we should have won that series. We had opportunities to do so, and, you know, that's their first series with the brand new team. The problem is, though, as I say, the brand new team, often the search and destroy is where things are a little bit slow for a while, and I think that might be problematic in their series tonight as well. So, you know, also crazy from FaZe. I know that this series was pretty close. They did look somewhat vulnerable. I think that OpTic will have watched that series last night and thought, okay, here we go. You know, we can get at these guys. They're far from completely untouchable, but FaZe are 19-2 in their Stage 1 league matches since Cold War, and in Major 1s, they've only ever been first, second, or third. So we can relatively safely predict that they might well be at the Grand Finals this time around as well. These were the final numbers here, by the way. Like, to be fair, FaZe on paper kind of crushed in this series, and I think Simp especially was really impactful. But Clay had more engagements than anyone in the lobby by far, had the most damage in the lobby, and more engagements than aBeZy by quite some margin, which is like just so impressive from Clay, right? And TJ had a good series as well. Gwyn struggled slightly more than he might have expected, and then Fellow also had a 0.76, which is, you know, I mean, look, this stat line is pretty much what GodderX was dropping, right? So, you know, it's too early to say that Ravens are like fixed or anything. I'm still not convinced, but I do think that TJ has been a valuable asset. And, you know, you compare this Ravens team to last year's Vegas team, where it was TJ, and then, you know, we either had Standy, or it was like 2Real or whatever they played around within the SMG role. But, you know, TJ and Gwyn, I do think is a legitimately pretty decent SMG duo. Then you've got Clay, who we know what he's capable of when he's playing well and he, you know, feels confident. And then, you know, the second AR position, that's really where they have to find a player that's going to fit them the best. Whether that is actually Fellow, I'm not so sold on that yet. But still, it was impressive from Ravens the way they played, the way they tried to come back in that series, because it would have been all too easy to put your head down after going down 2-0 to FaZe. They didn't do that at all. And Brian Say does confirm that TJ will be in the team for Major 1. So it's tough for Real, but I just can't imagine a way that Real gets back in the team at this point, right? TJ's been playing pretty well. They've looked better. They have experience playing with him. And maybe, you know, Real will get his visa sorted and he'll come back in, but I somewhat doubt it based on the way that things are currently going. Arcetes, though, also tweets this out. So last night, if you guys didn't see it, we had the Surge breaking a GA again drama when Hook was snaking that dumpster. And, you know, again, the big talking point was, well, here we go, a crunch moment, 220-220. Someone's going to pull out the snakes, and sure, Hook didn't get a kill from it, and they lost the map anyway. But, well, as RT says, you do the crime, you do the time. Now, what exactly are they going to do about this, right? Obviously, it's not really RC's fault about these GAs that have been broken. Like, he hasn't been the one really breaking them. It's been aBeZy, it's been Hook, and sure, he did throw the first smoke grenade, but it wasn't him that threw the second one when they played last weekend. So I don't know what the GA committee among the pros are actually going to do here, but the feeling has got to be that something has happened on this, because you can't afford to let Surge just keep breaking GAs again and again. This implies that some decision may have been made, or, you know, but I'm kind of be surprised if they made that decision already. I thought they might wait until after the weekend. We shall see. But whether Surge are going to get like no warm-ups next week for the major, that's a big question mark. But also, though, tonight, the big series, OpTic versus FaZe, the people are looking forward to. Got to share a couple of clips there between Scump and Zin, and also with Scrappy, right? Because Scrappy actually came on stream last night and said that, you know, a message for OpTic fans: don't be too critical on the roster. It's only one series that they lost. And I think that is obviously true, but at the same time, it was the first couple of maps against Vegas which kind of rung some alarm bells in places. I would also say this is an interesting take from Scump that I don't think anyone really massively agreed with, saying how Miami beating OpTic isn't necessarily an upset, which, you know, sure, that might be true if you think that OpTic and Miami are theoretically on the same level. The reality is that basically everyone had OpTic winning that series. They were the big favourites on paper, so, you know, there's no doubt that it was an upset as far as I'm concerned. And also trying to analyse this from Scump's point of view, if you're saying that Miami beating OpTic isn't an upset, you're basically saying that OpTic like aren't actually that good of a team and they're like a top 6 team in the range. So yeah, I don't really agree with what Scump is saying here, but I will share what he had to say and also what Scrappy had to say and how these two guys responded to some words from Scrap the other day.
I'm gonna go back to this. Where do we have Heretics right now? 5th, 6th?
Yeah, I have them top 6.
How the f is that an upset then? Because people right now would probably put us 4th.
Yeah, but I think you're putting.
So how's that an upset?
Because
that's literally how is that an upset?
Because the favorite team lost. It's my opinion that an upset means whenever a team that is favored, heavily favored, loses, it's an upset.
Okay, and then, I see an upset like if the 9th seed, if the 9th seed beats us.
That's the way I look. Well, no, that's the way I look.
I'm looking at like that's an upset.
That's a heavy upset.
Even like the 8th seeded team.
I think that's a heavy upset.
No, I retired both of them, and they both know that. They'll never admit it, but they both back of the Zin knew. Zin was like, that. I'm fucking out of here. Once he saw Seth,
Mark, you
because
tell
Seth
me the language I speak. Tell me what language I talk.
Seth got that major one. Should have seen him. I saw because when I was going over to fist pump him, he's like, "Fuck, Christ."
Dude,
he was like,
this guy's a moron.
Zin though, like, bro, just Zin's won 2 tournaments. Zin is 2 for 56.
He's won 1. I got him beat still.
2 for 56.
Can't argue numbers.
Unbelievable. That is a world record. That's a world record of assness, bro. How ass someone could be.
Hey,
2 for 56. Any message I can give Tony and
all right,
Seth
that's a good message from Scrap right there. I just
Thanks for letting us know.
Listen, man.
Star actor in the Ice Age.
Listen, man. If we're hurting your feelings talking about your neck, just tell us, man. You don't got to keep lashing out like this. We're just around, man.
Send a message, man.
We're just around, Scrappy. It's all good, man. With that long ass neck.
Kid's a prick, man.
OpTic been looking? Nah, they look pretty good, bro. Like, I don't know.
Really
they just had a fluke series. You know what I mean?
With Vegas, I don't
it
know.
happens
I don't
online,
think
but
they're
no,
gonna
they're fine.
Until after the major, I guess we'll just see.
Those guys are chilling. They'll probably show up.
At the major and see
probably on some kids at the major.
Who's their next matchup, Ben? Do you know? Who's Vegas' next
So,
matchup?
I mean, they're chilling, bro.
They play again this weekend?
You guys don't have to tweak, bro. You guys don't have to tweak.
No, they're done.
Everyone can regain, bro.
So, I mean,
they had a rough series. That's it, bro. We got a rough series against Boston. You know, FaZe almost lost to Carolina right there. You know, it happens, bro. It happens. Because let's be honest, if FaZe just lost to Carolina right there,
Mr. Hobby joining us.
if FaZe just lost to Carolina right there, you guys would have been saying like, "Yo, FaZe is ass." But are they actually ass? No. Know what I mean? So you guys got to chill out about OpTic.
So Scrappy, of course, cannot stop running his mouth to save his life at this point. I thought the reaction was funny. I know people will say, oh, you know, Zinni got so butthurt over this and all this stuff. And, you know, whatever you want. Like, both ways, I think, you know how it goes. Scrappy gets roasted for, like, the long neck stuff, and then he wants to clap back, and then they roast him back. It is what it is. I think it's just all in good entertainment at the end of the day. But still, was Scrappy's points on the OpTic team pretty valid? Maybe so, but we'll see against FaZe tonight, because we need OpTic to come out and actually make a competitive series of this, because on paper right now, even Lucky said it yesterday, that as far as he's concerned, it's FaZe and Toronto, the 2 best teams. They are significantly ahead, maybe marginally, but significantly so, of the other teams. And if this OpTic versus FaZe, not exactly curse, but if the mental block, whatever you want to say, continues, that would make the season completely fascinating if, like, OpTic still beat FaZe every time. Last year, I think it was 5-0, when OpTic played FaZe. And the year before that, it was like, I don't know, 4-1, something like 6-1, I don't know. So for the last 2 years, FaZe have only beaten OpTic like once, and OpTic have beaten them 10, 11 times. It's a remarkable record, and there's a question as to exactly why that is the case for any reason. OpTic know they need to bounce back today. OpTic are not the favourites for today's series, no doubt, but can they afford to, you know, get 3-0'd here and go into the major with zero confidence, really, when they're going to play Miami probably again come the major? They can't really. So these are the games of today. Ravens Thieves is, look, both of those teams are in losers, so it's kind of a battle for pride, but also for 10 points, right? If you're Ravens, and even if you're Thieves, you're thinking, well, we're going to need some points on the board here, so, you know, potential qualification for the World Championship down the line could be important. I think the Ravens are quite possibly the better respawn team, but I think I have to say Thieves just because I want to pick Ravens. I really do here. I'm not going to lie. I'd like to see them actually do well here and try and make a bit of a redemption arc here. But they didn't show me much in Search and Destroy yesterday, and I'm not sure I can see Ravens winning like all of the respawns. So yeah, I'm going to take Thieves in 5, I think. Then Subliners Breach. This is interesting because New York got bodied by Ultra on Friday, and we don't know how good Boston are. We haven't seen them. I mean, we obviously played last weekend, but you know, it's kind of interesting to predict how Breach are going to do in this series. They should be okay for winners anyway, as long as they win like a map or 2. But I'm actually going to take Boston to like somehow win in 5. I don't really know. I think Boston are just like an interesting team when it's difficult to predict exactly what you're going to get, but they did beat Ultra before, so I think that they could probably beat the Subliners as well. So I'm going with a couple of like upsets maybe today. I don't know. I'm going to take Boston over Subliners because I guess I am picking the favourites in the other series, and I think I've got to lean FaZe's way. The reason why I'm saying FaZe over OpTic here, I think, is probably the Drazah effect for me. My feeling is that for the last couple of years when OpTic have played FaZe, OpTic have just wanted it more. Like, Dashy comes in with the fire, like, Shotzzy seems to love playing against those guys, and for whatever reason, you know, Simp, aBeZy, Cellium, as players, they don't have that dog in them the same way that other players sometimes do. We've maybe seen that in their finals record over the last couple of years as well, that when the push comes to shove, big series, even a big online series, the FaZe guys don't necessarily get up for it in the same way that the OpTic guys have done, and I don't think that that will apply to Drazah. Drazah, let's not forget, he got the OpTic offer. He could have gone there. He turned them down, went to FaZe. He has to prove himself that he made the right decision. So OpTic usually, I would say, bring more energy to these series than FaZe do, and I think OpTic need to bring the energy. Like, I don't want to see OpTic go down 2-0 in this series and then drop their heads. You know, I don't think they will, but that's what I'm looking out for. Let's say OpTic go down 2-0 here. They made the comeback against FaZe before. They reverse swept them. Vanguard made you one where they went on that crazy tournament run and they got the job done. aBeZy did the ear thing. Dashy did the choke thing. You guys know how it went. And if OpTic go down 2-0 in this series, I don't want to look at their player cams and see them all like, oh my god, we're getting smoked. Like, they need to keep the energy up. I think that they will, but I think that FaZe will as well. And I just think that FaZe is the better team right now based on teamwork and all these other factors. So for me, I'm taking FaZe. Possibly in 4, I'm going to take FaZe like maybe 3-1 in this one. But very much interested in your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Thanks to Underdog. Take care. And I'll see you next time.